who is hosting us at the Chamber of Deputies. Welcome, everyone. I would like to welcome Maria Romana De Gasperi, the Dean of the De Gasperi Institute, Dr. Wheeler, and all the speakers. Today we are going to face an important aspect, that is to say the role of De Gasperi in the Western choice by Italy after the war and the promotion of European construction. This is a topic that really makes us think about the depth and insight of De Gasperi's thought. De Gasperi was one of the most important figure for his fight of fascism and his important role in the construction of the Republic, as leader of the first Italian party, and his important role. The speakers are going to deal with a different aspect of De Gasperi's political activity, both at national and international level. Today I would like to focus on one particular important, that is to say his voice as European and for Europe, because this was something radically revolutionary, I would say, for the time. It is quite compelling to think that the basis of the setting for Europe was in the hands of Spinelli, Cologni, and De Gasperi, these important men who, in a period of fascism, when Italy was totally crushed by fascism, in a continent devastated by war, the United States of Europe were conceived while Italian, German, British, and French were fighting one against the other. It was absurd. It was absurd at the time. We are fighting against the other. We are at war, and somebody is thinking about brotherhood, that we can join hands in the future. It was a revolutionary thought. And why? Because you had to have a vision to think that from this bloodshed something might arise, a Europe, a united Europe, and a Europe without wars. The world has been progressing thanks to this vision. Visions of people who were able to look beyond the daily events and to conceive something that was completely different from the daily life. So in these dramatic years, De Gasperi came to the idea that no European state could face on its own the problem of reconstruction. So there was this idea that being together might keep us going on, and this was in line with other two founding fathers, Robert Schuman and Konrad Adenauer. So death did not allow him to see the entry of Italy in the United Nations in 1955, or not even the treaties in Rome in 1957. These two events can be considered fruit of his political action and one of the most important legacy of his policy. Many complain about the slow progression of united Europe, and also I'm quite critical about some heavy bureaucracy and some reluctance with which the member states are willing to give up their sovereignty to the community authorities. But albeit all this, we have to acknowledge the big jump forward that Europe has made in 70 years. 70 years are nothing if we look at history of mankind, but in 70 years we have accomplished something extraordinary that is not underlined enough, especially with our young people. In 70 years from war to living peacefully together, from bombarding cities in Europe, we can cross the borders of member states. From extermination fields, we have the European Court of Justice. So this is an extraordinary accomplishment in just 70 years. And I want to go through with you the main steps of the European progression, starting in 1950 with a convention signed in Rome for fundamental rights, and then with the birth of the ECSC and the setting up of the European Organization for Economic Cooperation. Then we had Parliament, European Parliament, the Erasmus programs that are so important in raising awareness by Europeism. We speak about the generation of Erasmus, Schengen, Maastricht, and last but not least, on January the 1st, 1992, the issuing of the European single currency. We pretend to forget it sometimes, but I instead want to underline that the Italian institutions and Italian citizens were really committed at the time to join the euro immediately as first member states, among the first member states. Italian people were very generous and had this sort of idealism and enthusiasm in joining. We wanted to be there. We wanted to have a say and join forces. Of course, it was a challenging journey, but we kept going, having a clear objective. And De Gasperi, in a speaking to the Senate, was saying, and I mentioned, acting for peace, promoting and favoring progressive solidarity and unification of European member states in all forms and sectors, up to the creation of a federal bond. This was said in 1950 by De Gasperi. He was so fast-seeing. At this point, where are we? We have come to a sort of, we're stuck. A great effort has been made in these years, in these decades, but we have not reached the final objective. We're still along this journey, and we have to really make this further step if we want to achieve the objectives set by our founding father, who was speaking of the United States of Europe. We have to make this effort, because otherwise there will be disgregation and demagogy that is so bad for our continent. In the recent European election, there was this mistrust and sort of lack of interest on the part of citizens. The anti-Europeist messages are so catchy, messages that try to break down and disrupt this incredible project. We cannot stop the integration process of Europe. This is not the antidote. This is not the medicine. Just the opposite. We have to proceed at a faster pace, and we have to have a clear idea. That is to say, we have to construct and achieve the real dream. That is to say, the construction of the United States of Europe. We need more Europe. Today, this is what we need, more Europe. A Europe that is based on democracy and not technocracy, shared, participated, with a great participation and legitimation based on citizens voting. A Europe that is the expression of the peoples and not expression of the governments. To do all this, we need courage, we need to have the vision of the future, and let's not think only of the coming election, but about the coming generations. And these are the qualities that really are important in a person like Alcide De Gasperi, because he was a man who had a vision, a man who was thinking about future generations to come. For him, the dream of united Europe was something that had to be achieved in order to have peace and democracy. This objective represents for the Italian Parliament an absolute priority. And this is also shown by all the meetings that we have at the Chamber of Deputies during the semester of presidency of the European Union on the part of Italy. We are organizing inter-parliamentary meetings, and we are always focusing on relaunching Europe. Here at the Chamber of Deputies, we wanted to focus attention on the DNA that makes us special. We are different, we are special, because we are focused on the rights. Rights are our main focus. We have to guarantee rights. This is the identity of Europe. This is our DNA. That is why we wanted to organize conferences starting from the fundamental rights. This is something we have done together with the other European parliaments, trying to attract attention on new rights, because rights evolve as society and democracy evolve as well, and therefore we wanted to focus on digital rights, the big challenge we have to face, the topic of digital rights. And Parliament cannot just sit and watch what's happening. The internet is in our life. The internet is having impact. Democracy and democratic participation is channeled through the internet, and therefore Parliament has to play a role to guarantee digital rights, so that the rules are not set by the most powerful. So, dear guests, I think it is very important to remember a man like De Gasperi, Mr. De Gasperi, in times like ours, where we see this lack of trust by citizens in politics and institutions, unfortunately, because this mistrust was somehow stimulated and fed by corruption episodes, and many politicians were involved. And this is something we have to start from. We have to start from honesty, values, etc. But we tend to generalize today as if all politicians were corrupted. as if politics is something dirty and corrupted, something to keep aloof. Well, I fight against this generalization because it's not true. Things are not like this. This is not true. And this is only detrimental to institutions. There is nothing good about it. Generalization is really the grave of truth, and there's something that is pure detrimental, something that is bad, and therefore we have to demonstrate that there is good politics, good politicians, honest politicians, and politics that is based on grand values. That is why a man like Mr. Alcide De Gasperi is so important. He was such a serious man, so consistent in terms of ideals, politics, and such a sober man, and he had such a deeply rooted belief in humankind and politics at the service of citizens, and not as something instrumental to the rights of just a few. And I think this is an important message that has to be relaunched, and Alcide De Gasperi gives us the possibility to think in this vision. Therefore, thank you very much for being here today, and I wish you best success.